Hello and welcome back to our Mom Munchkin Squad Sponsors Live. Yes, you heard it right. It's a sponsors live right now. हमने nomination live बड़ा सुना होगा, but sponsors are special for us to make things happen. Why? क्योंकि जब आपको कोई स्पॉन्सर मिलता है तो कोई भी इवेंट या कोई भी ओकेजन स्पेशल हो जाता है बिकॉज ऑफ देयर एडिशनल कंट्रीब्यूशन टू दैट पर्टिकुलर इवेंट. So I would like to first thank few of our other sponsors. So please let's just start with the Thanksgiving of our other sponsors. I would like to thank our event sponsor Utkarsh Small Finance Bank. Thank you so much. I would also like to thank BHJ Investment as an event sponsor. Our co-sponsor Eurokids Preschool Mulund. Thank you so much Philomena. Abhishastra by Shilpa Raze. Thank you so much Shilpa. Our sub-sponsors are as follows. Dittal from Legal Perspective, Shailis from Shailis Kitchen, Pooja Vaidya from Study Skill, Art Lounge by Dimple, श्री स्क्विल डेकोर बाय श्रीदेवी, जिसके साथ हम आज अभी बात करने वाले हैं. एंड लास्ट बट नॉट द लीस्ट, रॉयल होम्स बाय रियल स्पेसेस बाय ऋषिता नार्लेकर. Thank you so much guys for trusting us. Thank you so much Sridevi for showing faith in a group, women's oriented group, जहां पे people think that why should we sponsor. क्योंकि लोगों को स्पॉन्सर्स ऐसे लगता है कि क्या होता है स्पॉन्सरशिप. पहली बात तो पीपल हैव फ्यू myths about being a sponsor. वैसा तो I am very thankful Sridevi because you trusted a community which is not so big but is on the process of growing. Thank you so much firstly. And
Thank
before starting the complete interview, we would like to know something like your introduction, a brief introduction about yourself, please.
Okay, so I'm Sridevi Podwal, the founder of Shri Squill Decor. So today my brand is called Shri Squill Decor, but it's been a journey of about 2.5 years till I reached here. However, by education and training, I'm a counseling psychologist. I'm an educator. And when I had to take a sabbatical due to family reasons, I realized I wanted to do something more. And I looked at that as an opportunity more to kind of explore my potential. Sometimes we have to come back home because there are kids to look after, in-laws to look after. So I thought I looked at it as more as an opportunity. Okay, I could not continue my full-time job, which I loved a lot as a teacher and as an educator. But I thought, why not really find out what is my calling? And, because then I started venturing into different things. So I started, gardening. I used to love gardening. So I did a whole lot of things on organic gardening because I really believed in the concept of sustainability. And that was a time that they were talking about, recycling our waste and things like that.
Correct.
And then after a couple of months, I got exposed to Pinkathon. And that was an absolute changer in my life because what Pinkathon did is, again, it got me back to fitness. But more important, when I ran, we were trained for a Mumbai to Pune run. And when I ran that run in 3 days, sometimes when you're almost like 48, 50, and you don't believe that, you think that all that you have to do in life, you did. But I realized that age was just a number. And that, we could still dream because we had many people who were like 70 years, 80 years, and, looking and creating things. So I really believe that if you really have a passion and you find a passion, you can do things, that is not an age to kind of stop. And that's when my sister suggested that since you're trying different things, why don't you just try your hand in quilting? And believe me, I have a home science background, but after 30 years, I opened my machine again. So, I think the industry had changed because I had learned machine embroidery from my mom. And now there were automatic machines, everything would be created. So that skill was very different. My sister being a quilter, she said, why don't you look at quilting? And then I joined the Mumbai Desi Quilters. That's a little group, who support each other. And then I attended the first quilt festival in Chennai. This was done by the Chennai group, and I saw the world's quilts, and that was a game changer. Quilting is much more than making a godadi or a razai or a baby quilt. The art quilts are mind blowing. And the minute you realize the potential that it had, I knew this was something I had to conquer, because I love challenges. And so I just decided, okay, I want to do it. So that's how I started. It started off as a hobby, something that I wanted to learn and explore and figure much more. And like they say, life goes full circle. I used to wonder, where was my counseling and where is my education and where was running, and from where to where I kind of moved. And that's when I got exposed and I started making fidget quills. Fidget quills are quills that I make for for Alzheimer's patients, Parkinson's patients, and I take custom orders for these because the residual skills that they have, the psychomotor things, and to trigger off memories, it really helps them. So I think that's where I realized, and there's so much more that I don't know whether that's my line of expertise also. The only way to know is to explore more. But this was a big journey. I needed to actually figure learning how to do business, because I come from a social work and counseling kind of background. It's a very different mindset, a very different kind of approach you need to take. I couldn't just say, okay. And I knew it had to be more than a hobby. Around that time, three of us friends, we connected and we started this group with training women. Okay, we used to go to Nerul and we used to train a Bachat Gat group to sew and quilt. And we had trained them to participate in an exhibition, which was a huge success. And I think our victory was they had started dreaming. They wanted to stand at the counter, wanted to sell. And they said, ma'am, next year, hum log ye pura exhibition apne aap karenge. Wow. So that dream that we had built, and we were also establishing ourselves when lockdown suddenly struck. Again, I would say when calamities come your way, it's an opportunity, a new opportunity that's opening. That was the time we actually paused and we looked at what is it that we needed to do. What I realized was you can help and support other people after you have your own bread and butter. So what many people do is, just teaching stitching is not equipping them. You need to find the market for them. You need to, you have to create that entire cycle. That makes a business sustainable. Just, loving to paint or loving to draw, loving to stitch, and doing the best work and just keeping it in your home is not enough. You need to really teach so many more skills. I had to learn a lot of skills. I had to learn social media marketing. I had to learn a whole lot of things. I'm still amateurish. For me, technology is the first struggle. It doesn't come easy, but it's not impossible. Like I always say, in impossible, there is I am possible.
Correct.
So I started off like that. I think over the 2 years, I figured out what I want to do. The view that I wanted to build my entire business has changed. And actually, though it is Shree's Quilt Decor, where I try and provide you solutions for your house and for things around, what it really is, connecting and building those women. So until now, through various workshops and groups, I've taught about 48 people.
Wow.
But I think my target is about 1,000 women whom I can empower. There are 2 people I'm supporting as a part-time basis. There are other projects. So as far as possible, see, it's very easy to get some karigars and to build a business. But I feel if I can support as a woman, as I build my business, if I can support 2 more households or 10 more households, I think that's more meaningful. So that's what I'm looking at. And,
Sridevi, I love the thought of you not keeping the wealth only with you, but to spread. Because basically, when a person start doing business, it is all about I, me, myself.
Very true.
Like everything will be done by me only. I will do the marketing, I will do the making, I will do the manufacturing, everything I'll do. And whatever the profit is, I'll get it.
Exactly.
But your thought, I find a clarity in it. I find devotion in it. I also find a passion. I can understand that it was just a hobby, but now I can see when you talk about it that you are passionate about doing this now.
Correct. So the first thing I did for that is when I turned 50, I registered my organization. So it's a registered propriety. Wow. Because I felt when it's registered, one is I get an identity and it's a commitment made to myself. That, it's not something I do for 2 days and close it off. So I think that was the first thing. And the accountability, when you file your returns, when you have to close the accounts, it has to become sustaining. I mean, I've made my own errors and my ups and downs and all of that is there. But I think when you register, when you go through the licenses and the organized method, another thing also that happened through the way was last year. So I was typically a person who, wanted to build my business all alone. And I had to learn to work as a team. Okay. So what happened is last year I had this fall, a very small fall, but I tore a ligament in my shoulder.
Okay.
And then I had to, rethink the way I needed to do things. Because by then the dream had become so real, I was not ready to let it go. And, like in business, if you don't do work for a month or two, then, you start right from scratch.
Yes.
Because,
Correct.
it's like that. You have lost that time. So I decided now it was time. That's when I employed my first person. I had got an industrial machine, which I was so possessive about. I had to learn that I had to let go and let her work on it, because what she is creating is my products for me. So there's a lot that you have to learn. I learned to source people even outside. So I started working as a team. And believe me, when you work as a team, when you work using technology, that is when you actually win. That becomes a win-win for both. And believe me, because I've heard a lot of people saying, I keep sharing a lot of stories. Even earlier, even I had those questions. When you're building a brand, you're sharing a lot of tips. So someone said, you're sharing so many tips. Are you letting go of your secrets? I really believe, because I think that's my counseling, education, and all of that. We are so lucky to be in India where it's so populated. I think if we all even become quilters, even then there'll be a market for us.
It's a
I
very
think
big
that
market.
really exists. And when two people, instead of going through the same grind and trying to discover, when you support each other, we can come up, collaborate, and create a better product. So,
Correct.
we need to think of collaboration, cooperation. And I think that is why in the last 1 year, I've started networking with other NGOs and really thinking of, branding. So I've started looking at things in a different way and open, being open to possibilities. Earlier I would close and say just focus, 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 and it doesn't work like that, because all that happens is you get so stressed out. But sometimes opportunity is knocking at your door and you need to open that door and let things come in. So
Yes. But I love the concept of you understanding what is today's need.
yes,
Earlier it was one man army, but today you need to have many people. Even if you want to promote yourself, you have
correct,
to talk to someone to help you promote
yes,
yourself.
yes,
Like you cannot just expect people to come and talk to you have
right,
to go and talk to them.
right,
So very nicely explained, Sri Devi. Now let's come to business. I can completely understand how you started. You just explained it superbly well that I can just relate it to those ladies who put their
yes,
hard work to start
right,
something. So my
right.
next question is related to your business now.
Mm.
What all things are there in your basket?
Okay, so I specialize. So over the time, I think my biggest specialty that I have is in making memory quilts.
Hmm.
Okay, so I make quilts out of, pre-loved garments. Is it children's clothes, so you want to upscale and make it into a particular quilt, or you've lost a dear one and you want to convert something. And off late, when we've started making sari quilts, I always say, why do we have to wait for going away and then the family creating? So I've got my mom, she's been building this whole idea that, there are people whom she really loves and she's upscaling some of her saris to kind of make it into quilts and give them to her near and dear ones.
Lovely.
So, that's another thing. But quilts, you'd have few in your house. It's a costlier kind of a range. It goes into anywhere from 2,000 to 10,000 to 20,000,
Oh,
depending on the kind of work. So, obviously people would buy one or two, but in order to sustain as a business, you need to do more. So I've got quilted products also. My niche is quilting. So that's what I look at. So
hmm.
quilting is basically 2 to 3 layers that is stitched together in order to strengthen it. Okay. So
Correct.
it can be created for warmth or for strength. So I'm also trying to revive the Godri kind of stitching, because today, if people are ready to easily pay some $300 and upscale some saris and make those machine quilts. But that's not what a Godri is all about. It's that hand stitched things, which is generally a legacy in the family. The mother or the aunt gives it to the newborn kid or to the new bride. Now
Correct.
that we are, it's not even documented. So what is happening is we are losing out on these little skills
Hmm.
as the heritage that we have. So I'm in this process of reviving that. also trying to understand, and try and create products like table mats or table runners so that you can bring that warmth onto your dining table. Or a bag. So if you have a nice quilted bag, if you like the feel of quilts and make you feel warm and comfortable, imagine you're taking this to work and just keeping your hand over it makes you feel that confidence again.
Yes.
Or it's a little pencil pouch. So I've got the little pencil pouch, really tiny thing. So this is quilted.
Lovely.
So it's really strong. So we're not using plastic and things like that, but the whole thing becomes small. And so I don't want to create what is already there in the market. I don't want to replicate. So if there's something that someone wants, then why not go to the source? And today, with everything going online, a lot of that is available. So I've got some certain keychains that are very typical, like keychain with a holder. So it looks like a decorative piece, but it's actually a keychain in it. And these are smaller gifting options that you can gift someone else. Many of it is made from fabric cuts and things, pieces that we have. So they're going to be very unique, and it's not a mass scale kind of production. And anything, even if I'm making mass scale, I don't make more than 30 to 50 pieces. 50 pieces is the max, because I just don't want to create and clutter much more into the market. It's better to have something exclusive. The design changes and things change. So that's some of the things.
Very nice that you have number of items to carry. Just wanted to ask two questions in this one. Is it washable?
Yes, all these quilts are washable, and generally as a quilter, most quilters would wash it beforehand. So we wash every fabric, we iron it, because shrinkage is there and color runs are. These are two things that can affect your fabric. But maybe the pouch, the pencil pouch, I may not wash it, but it's not going to have shrinkage. So we take into consideration all those things.
Okay, now this was my first question, and the second question is, how sustainable is it? What is the shelf life, if you ask, like per product?
Yes.
What is it?
So generally quilts is something which is passed on generation to generation. So generally whatever we make, and because it is individual piece make, it is something that you can even take on to further generation, which is sometimes people don't like that about handmade quilts, because they say it never gets spoiled. So that's the flip side of it, Yeah, but it is something that you can, give to the next generation too. It lasts, many, many years. Yeah.
Now I have asked two questions. Now this is a question which I would like to know regarding the fabric. Now you told that we can give you saris to make these quilts.
Right.
Agreed. But is it like every sari can be used as a quilt, or there is particular things?
Yeah.
Do you like to disclose it, or it's on you if you want to disclose?
No, nothing at all. So you know what? There is a top layer in a quilt, and there's a bottom layer. Okay. So some people, it depends on the person's preference. If it's only a decorative item to put over, then you can have silk on both sides. But I generally suggest silk or cotton, because both are natural fibers. Even if you put it over also, it's good enough. So we make sari quilts which can be displays. I have made an art quilt which was somebody's logo, that it was Tigress Mom logo, that I quilted totally. So instead of using a flex, it's a quilted logo. So if you just plan it a little, if you're having a wedding decoration, you can have a stage decor as a quilt, which later can be a decoration item in your room. So it needs a little bit of planning or a little bit of thinking. So birthday parties, we have so much of decoration. So if you have something like this that later can be converted, it's so much more better, right?
But after talking to you on all this, I feel that you can even gift quilts. Like there are the items that you suggested, like small mini items that you have. We normally give return gifts. So इससे better तो कुछ हो ही नहीं सकता for the society, for the environment. I feel.
So that is exactly. So the biggest struggle that we face, in the quilting world is, if you look at a non-quilted pouch, the material required is lesser, the effort required is lesser. The comparison, if you're going to go into synthetics, it's even more cheaper, because synthetic is not a pure fiber. So when you add polyester, nylon, things like that, it brings down the cost. So you have cotton batting, the inner between layer, or you can have polycot. So polycot also you get in different proportions. Sometimes adding a little bit of polyester, a 20%, 80% is very, very organic also at the same time. And at the same time, it can sustain for AC kind of temperatures. So it depends on the place where you are, where you live. But say if somebody doesn't want any of those batting in between, they don't want it to be bulky, we even make quilts out of flannel sheet in between, or even the manjar part or grey cloth in between.
Super.
So we can always modify it and make it based on your requirement. So these quills are customized. I don't make quills and just put it out in the market. They're not like the ones that you can buy in the shop.
Okay.
But once I connect with you, then I find out what your needs are, what your colors are, what taste you like, and then modify it and make it as per that. So it's a very customized product.
Okay, so now this is like, this is for all of you to understand. Costing can differ. So currently what she's trying to tell you all is they can compromise, or you can just talk it out when it comes to, if you want to give a return gift. Return gifts are something which you give it in bulk. ठीक है, तो जब भी कोई भी चीज बल्क में बनाई जाती है, बट ऑब्वियस है रेट्स में डिफरेंस आता है, पर उसके लिए आपको उनको डायरेक्ट कांटेक्ट करना पड़ेगा. दिस वाज इंटरव्यू मोस्टली टेकन इन इंग्लिश, तो मैं थोड़ा हिंदी में बताना चाहूंगी. ये क्विल्ट्स के बारे में था, जिसके अगर आपको कभी शादी में किसी को देना है, मोस्टली गुजराती पीपल डोंट अंडरस्टैंड मच ऑफ इंग्लिश, बट उनकी ग्रैंड शादियां होती है. आजकल शादी इज अ ग्रैंड अफेयर, लाइक यू हैव टू गिव समथिंग जो हमेशा ऐसे याद रखी जाए उनके शादी के बाद. तो दिस इज फॉर ऑल दोज. अगर आपको कुछ भी गिफ्ट देना है, I personally would suggest you to give something which is worth it. ऐसा नहीं कि आपने सिर्फ शो के लिए लिया, फिर वो पता नहीं कहाँ पड़ा रहता है, कितने दिन तक उस पर धूल मिट्टी लगी रहती है. ऐसा कुछ जो इंसान यूज करे और रोज यूज करे, तो दिखेगा अरे ये मुझे उसने दिया था इसके लिए. सो गिव समथिंग विच इज गुड. श्रीदेवी, नाउ माय लास्ट क्वेश्चन वुड बी, व्हाट अबाउट like if somebody wants to order, जो रेट्स है, आप लाइक आई एम श्योर आप रेट्स का भी वैसे रहेगा कि इट एज पर कस्टमाइजेशन हाउ इट वर्क्स, बट अगर किसी को ऑर्डर देना है तो पैन इंडिया का कैसे होता है और इंटरनेशनल ऑर्डर कैसे होता है आपका?
So I do take international orders, but they're very individualized, customized orders. So I've had a couple of orders, but I mainly handle India. Okay, and if it's an international customer, they need to have an Indian bank account, because bank transfers and transparency is equally important. So I don't have international transfer options. So if they have an Indian account, then you can transfer it into that. Once your product is made, the pricing is for the cost of the material. So when I start making your product, if it's a customized piece, 50% is in advance, 50% is once the product is completed before I ship it to you. And that excludes, it is without your shipping rates. So if it is Mumbai, then it is as per that. If it's larger orders, then the shipping is free. So all these terms and conditions are discussed, and it's clear, like it's
terms and conditions applied. So it depends upon how you order, what you order, what's the quantity, what's the quality type, what kind of quality do you need in your substance.
Absolutely.
Lastly but not the least, I heard that you are planning to start teaching, as you already discussed about it.
Right.
So how will you be doing it? Is it online? Is it offline?
Yeah. So I live in Devnar, Chembur. So, if it's an offline thing, then it's at my home, which is also my workplace. I'm a homepreneur. So whatever my setup is right there. So it's during the daytime, on weekdays. Or it can be online. So depending on your time and convenience. So there is an introductory Godadi kind of making workshop. So I know how the Kavadi quilts or the Siddhi quilts of Karnataka are made. I know the Godadi kinds in Maharashtra are made. So based on that, and we have come up with certain sample mats, okay, table mats. What I believe is you just make a piece which is never in use, not at all practical. So what I do is it's like the first introductory thing is just 500 rupees. Until your product is made, it takes about 5 to 6 hours. You can, depending on the person, whether they want to split it over 2-3 days or have it one continuous. One continuous might get tedious. See, because I really believe it's for my love and passion for quilting, and because I want that heritage to continue. So what I do is I'll give you some input, do your work, we get back again together. If you're struggling at whichever point, then I send you a video or message as per that. So there's a lot of hand holding, and then you join into a community of quilters. So when you're making your things and when you're doing, so it'll become my community which we're working on, so that we can share ideas, help each other. That kind of a thing. So it's just, it's a small little table mat, and to show you, there are some of these samples. So when we say table mat, Godari style also, it's very different, okay? Now, this is what is called a Kavandi quilt. Kavandi quilt are what is made by the Siddhis. So each of them, just like the handpiece Godadi, each of them is put separately. No glue is used, because I know now some of the mod people making it today are sticking glue on it. Glue ruins the entire effort, even if they are washable quilts. So then, there is each piece by piece. So this is it. If, the reverse would be any material that you use. Over here, it's much more visible.
This
So
is
can you
very
see the running line?
yes,
So,
yes, yes.
so now this is the typical Godadi which goes in concentric circles. On this side, partly done by machine and partly done by hand. So,
Oh,
if you really want to do it faster, there is there's a technique which is used by Godri makers, but they would do that. Each piece is joined together by hand. But since today you have the machine and the hand, we can use a combination. So that is this. Then if you see the Rajasthan kind of quilts, okay, they have patchwork there. But in that patchwork now, the quilting is in straight lines.
yes.
Okay, if you look now, if you next time you look at something like that, you'll realize in Kanta quilts, in Rajasthan quilts, it's straight line quilting. Okay, so that's a quilt made that
It seems that every state has its own,
beauty. And I've still not touched the applique quilts. Okay, so there's a whole lot. And this is my favorite style that I use. Okay, I think you can see much better from the reverse.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
so this is what is called a Boro quilting.
Okay.
Boro quilting is what's used in Japan.
Okay.
So, they just use raw pieces. Literally, Boro means rags,
Okay.
patchwork of rags. So, when earlier the peasants didn't have those facilities to those kind of things, so they would just take a lot of, pieces, patch them over and make the material stronger.
I know one thing about Japan, that they give these quilts in wedding to the girls.
Exactly.
It's
This was also a practice in India. It was also a practice in India.
Now hardly parents buy from they give this ready-made.
Correct. Even the comforters and quilts, there's a lot of difference.
Yes, yes.
All these, it's very, very different. See, what happens is it's a very time-intensive kind of process. Like when we made a baby quilt, it's taken those girls about 5 to 6 days. Okay. So to make that baby quilt, so there's a ma'am, लेकिन कौन पैसा देगा उसके लिए? कोई नहीं देने वाला इसका पैसा, because it is. But unfortunately, what is happening now? Our today's generation, we are not making these. So the next generation doesn't even know there's a practice like this.
Correct.
So, our rich culture and heritage and that love that we give, we always call it Aichi Godri or Ajitsa Godri. All that is getting lost.
Correct.
That connect, that love. Finally, after all those blankets, my kids still love that, wrapping that around, because it reminds you of your mom's sari or a little, the blanket that you use, bedsheet that you used at home. So that's the beauty of the whole thing. And it's totally sustainable, because we use and reuse all the things around in our house. We never throw it and create more waste and create more dump, landfills. It's such a big problem today. And when it's all available right here, then why not? And you can, and I think it's something we have to be so proud about. You make small little things to beautify your own homes.
Correct.
Based on what children need. But if we don't know what to do, then obviously that thing is lost.
This is a very well explained last sentence, is that we spend on something which we are not even going to use it. It is going to stay as a showpiece. But this is something which is usable, which is going to be with you for generations. At least, if not 2 to 3 generation, I can guarantee it. 2-3 generation.
I mean, the bigger thing, actually this work is priceless. Though you're paying something for that labor that those ladies are doing, believe me, can you actually put a value to this kind of work? Never. So what, if you are going to even make something like this and give it to someone, it's priceless.
Correct.
So that is something that, we need to really get back to. All of us remember, all of us being moms, when you get a handmade card from the kid, the joy that you receive is a totally different thing. That personalized word that is added into it makes all the difference. So it's like that,
that smile that comes there automatically. So just imagine, and it's we always think of doing something for the society that I want to do. Then let's start from this.
Right.
This can be the start. From if you want to do something for the society, so this can be a start. Thank you so much, Sridevi, for coming today. Thank you so much all.
Thank you very much, Meenal, and God bless you and bless the community. So I think let's all just connect, collaborate, cooperate, and support each other, because all of us are having the same struggles. So if you just join together, And thanks a lot. I deeply appreciate the posters that you make and the push that you give us, because we really need more people like that. Thank you,
Thank you
Meenal.
so much. Thank you so much, guys. Have a great evening ahead. Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.